For much of American history, naturally curly black hair has been seen as unprofessional. Reverend Sue talks to a black professional woman today about hair discrimination. And now, here's Reverend Sue.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us today. We have our special guest is Raven Miller, and Raven is a good friend, and I've known her for many years, and thank God that she is able to be a part of our show this evening. She is the Senior Director of Medtronic and the Vice President, Portfolio Strategy and Business Development. She is from Little Rock, Arkansas, and a Master of Divinity degree from Vanderbilt University, as well as her MBA. And we welcome you this evening, Raven, for joining us. It's good to see you. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Always good to be with Rev Sue.
And also Raven Miller. I don't know what title to use now, with doctor, minister, reverend, you have it all. You have it all. And that's you're the best guest, I believe, to talk about what we're going to talk about today, and that is about black hair. As you know, the study came out and people have been talking about it all over the world that straightening hair, the product that we've used for so long, is actually causing women cervical cancer. The black women had the highest rating throughout with that study. And I said, Reverend, Doctor, businesswoman, Vice President, and Senior Director. As long as I've known you, you've always wore your hair just a natural hair, no matter where you went. And you're in the corporate world. You're in the corporate world. You're in the religious world. So I would like to talk today about maybe some of your experiences that you've had, and we can learn from you. And then our second half, we have time. We're going to talk about voting Tuesday. We need to get out November the 8th to vote. So with that in mind, you are in an international company. You travel all over the world. You have staff and a vice president, and you've always worn your hair natural. Just tell us just a little bit about what have you experienced any particular issue relating to your hair, where you go or where you do not go. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So first of all, I appreciate the conversation. I think it's an important one, and one that almost feels ridiculous to have, given that this is the natural way that the hair grows out of our head as God had intended it. So I will say my natural journey started about 13 years ago. So I had just been recently employed, and I was super excited. And at that time, I was actually wearing my hair permed. So it was growing long, was super excited about it. Look, came into the interview, flicking my hair back, giving them all the business. And one time I had a really terrible experience with my hairdresser as I was getting it permed. It was itching really bad. I couldn't understand why I was burning really bad. And a lot of my hair kind of burned and fell out. And so at that time I was like, oh my God, I can't go into work looking crazy. Can't go over to my friends looking crazy. So then I was wearing weave to cover it up so my hair could grow back. The weave ended up messing up my hair even more than it was. I looked at a couple of wigs and I'm like, that's not my style. And so then I thought about just shaving it off and going natural. I talked to a few people in the corporate community about doing that. And they said, you know what? You're young, you're Black, you interview with your hair permed, you could potentially mess up your brand and your identity. And that struck me in my heart and my soul that my career could be messed up, derailed, not taken seriously just because my hair was natural. But Sue, it got so bad when I was covering up my hair with wigs, with weave, with all this other stuff that I couldn't take it anymore. And I went to my hairdresser and got it all shaved off. I had what I call the TWA, a teeny weeny afro. And so with the teeny weeny afro, when she first turned me around to the mirror, I literally busted out in tears. I was crying so badly that my best friend had to come and pick me up from the dresser to drive me home because I could not see. I was crying that much. I woke up the next day, looked in the mirror, called into work and said I was sick. And I was sick, not physically, but emotionally. I was having this meltdown moment of feeling like I wasn't going to be accepted, feeling like my career was at risk, feeling like I couldn't be my authentic self simply because my hair was in this teeny weeny afro. And so after lamenting all of this on social media, there was one sister in particular, I remember from divinity school, who was also known for rocking natural hair. And she said, I want you to literally just go in the mirror and stare at yourself and just accept yourself as you are and the beauty that comes with it. And this is before I posted any pictures. Mm-hmm. And I will say on that day off, I went and stood in the mirror, and Sue, this is going to sound crazy now. I stood in the mirror for probably 2 hours straight, 2 to 3 hours straight, just staring at myself and getting comfortable with who I am, how I look, and how I'm now being represented. And it was in that kind of 2 to 3 hour window when I said, this is me. This is who I am. This is who God has created me to be. And nothing about my character, my brilliance, my ability has been impacted simply because my hair changed. And when I went into work the next day, it was very different than I had anticipated. People were loving the look. They were running over to me, giving me hair hugs and high fives, and were kind of laughing at all the drama that I had created. And so since then, I'm like, like no one can define your confidence but you, and how you rock it, how you walk it, how you talk it is how people will interpret it. And so since then, I've never looked back, and I will never put a perm on my hair again.
That's a great story, Raven, because we still have women today. Doesn't matter if you do not have the you can have the fro but don't have confidence, or you can have the straightening and still do not have confidence. And that's I think right. that's very important, because when you talk about God, it's within, it's within you. And when people see you and then they know your credentials and how highly intelligent you are, they want you. They want you. I have to admit that when I started working, and every time I had a job interview, they didn't tell me this when I was in college. I just came to the conclusion that, okay, you want to deal with hair, this is what I would do. So I would go and not put a perm, but I would like my hair is blow dry now. I should have just washed. I'm having this interview. I should have washed my hair. But anyway, I would take and just brush my hair back. Brush it back, with Royal Crown grease, because I'm age. Oh, and then put water on it and brush it back nice and neat. And after I got the job, usually I got the job, I would come out with the braids. I come out with my fro. I would come out all different styles, because now you're not judging me according to my hair. You're judging me according to the work that I'm doing. But I had to get, and people say, well, you lost confidence because you had to meet society. So society said you wear your hair straight. I didn't wear it straight. I just brush it back. But did I change that because I feared not getting the job? So that, I think about that now. If I had to do it again, I said, no, I'm going with my natural. I'm going with how I wear my hair, whether you like it or not. And if I don't get the job, I'll go for another job. That's who I am as of today. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right. That's
and so
right.
where so now you have the natural fro, and then now you start looking for other jobs, and you walk in an interview with your hair like this today. What happened?
Oh, yeah. Listen, nothing. They sit down, they listen to what I have to say. So whether I'm rocking it in an afro or in cornrows, to your point, it's the confidence that we exude and our ability to be able to articulate what we've accomplished and what we'll be able to do moving forward. That has nothing to do with the hair on my head, but rather the brains that are in my head, right? And so from that perspective, I'm not changing who I am. I think what it also did was it enabled the authenticity that I believe that I bring to the table to become more apparent. One of the things that I think people appreciate about my style is that I try to be the same Raven in every room that I walk in, whether it's before work, during work, after work. And that style does not change. I am able to be more authentic when I am comfortable who I am, how I look, how I talk, what I represent, my brand. And part of my brand is my hair. And so I don't have to think about modifying my style or my behavior based on who's in the room, because I am just being myself. And when I'm just being myself and not having to concentrate and think about who do I need to be, then I can actually concentrate my mind on the work and the conversation that I'm having. There is something very powerful about being your authentic self, where you don't have to think about making up this character of who other people want you to be. You just present it and it rolls from there. And I think every time we show up authentically, that's when we actually show up with our best game.
And I'm saying now is that, come on, women, we got to listen to what God is telling us. We have to stop straight doing the chemicals in our hair. We have to learn how to take care of our hair. And some people say, well, Raven, I just don't know how to do my daughter's hair. Her hair is so tight. I got to put that perm in there. I got to do that. What will you tell that mother?
Yeah, I think part of it is there has been, all this stereotypical talk around hair being nappy, and then nappy being equivalent with bad or unattractive or unsightly. And that simply is not true. We have to flip the narrative of what it means to be natural. Natural is beautiful. Natural is acceptable. Natural is who we are intended to be. And as we accept the fact that this is who we are intended to be, this is the beauty, part of the beauty of what we represent, then we don't see it as ugly or as something that needs to be changed. It's actually something that needs to be embraced. And there is something very powerful about being different in the room, showing up different in the room, representing difference in the room. It is difference, and it is diversity that actually drives better decisions. So there's a study, a famous study that was done in 2016, where they talked about how teams that are diverse in nature tend to outperform all of their competitors by at least 25% on the bottom and the top line of business, meaning I make more revenue than you, and I'm able to execute more efficiently than you. When they then doubled down on the science of that, of why teams perform better, more diverse teams perform better than teams that are homogeneous in nature, it is because when people walk into the room and they see that you look different, they automatically in their brains feel like they have to work harder in order to make their points. And so everybody then better prepares to come to the room to defend or to argue or to make their points. And it's through that art of negotiation of differential viewpoints and perspectives that you then get better outcomes than you would by simply talking to people who look just like you, who think just like you, who act just like you. So this cultural difference, which is also inclusive of how we look and how we rock our hair, actually proves to be a secret sauce and how businesses can outperform their competition. So I think we ought to change the stereotype of being different is bad. Being different is absolutely good, not only for your teams, but also for yourself and your self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're talking to Raven Miller. And is hair discrimination still a problem for Black women? It's still a problem for Black women.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And we know that based on some of the laws and the policies that we see. The Crown Act was a law that had to be passed in California so that Black women and Black men could wear their hair to work as it naturally grows out of their head. Imagine in the 2020s having to have a law passed so that you can go to work showing up with hair that naturally grows out of your head. It is insane. There is no other group or ethnicity of people that had to have a law passed in order for them to rock their hair the way it naturally grows out of their head. So yeah, we still have some work to do even in the 2020s. And all of that work will and change behavior as we start to love and accept even our own selves.
Mm-hmm. And I like what you brought up, the Crown laws, because hair discrimination laws in California, in Colorado, in Connecticut, Delaware, Louisiana, right, Maine, Maryland, Nebraska, and Massachusetts. Literally Crown laws. That is laughable. Crazy. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Yeah. So the unprofessional hairstyles. Who give you the right to tell me that my hair is unprofessional? Is an unprofessional hairstyle.
That's right.
It's like, you know what, we talking about hair today, and really because I want to go into, you know, it's like who tells me you want to tell me my hair is unprofessional hairstyle? Who give you the right to do that? This is my hair. I was born with this hair. Yeah, this is my natural hair. Came out of my mother's womb. Okay, stop. You know, that's a whole different story.
She's preaching. Y'all better pass the plate.
I'm like, yeah, Baptist, you gotta pass the plate. But I knew I was trying to keep it cool on this. I was not going to get upset about this today. I'm trying to be halfway decent right now, Raven, but I have the right person, because you drive me into things like this.
I think that's the beauty of it, though. I think that's the beauty of it. And this is why we need people to show up with their hair as they want to every day. Because as we continue to move in different places and spaces, where we get into the rooms where decisions are made, where culture is driven, where perspectives can be shaped, when we show up as ourselves, it then has organizational impact. Organizational impact for us to be able to sit in the room and say, this is okay. And that becomes more okay when more of us continue to show up as ourselves and normalize this as regular.
And also, we need to be taught before we buy a product to see what's in it, to really see what's in that product. You know, we need to start reading. And then we start studying and have people like you and others and talk about it. I go back to church again. You talk about this in church school, Sunday school. These things should be taught to our young people and people my age and your age, just generationally. We have to do better about us. We have to do better about us. Yes. You're going to tell me that my hair is unprofessional for you. I need let's go shampoo my hair right now and get my have an afro right in front of us, you know. Yes. But the thing about it is that I've always felt that way, but I was alone. I was alone even in the 70s. I was alone because after the fro became, you know, they started doing other things. I was still wearing a natural. I didn't have I had a perm when I was like, I had my son already. I was old when I got a perm. And I did a perm. It burned my hair and
Mhm.
everything, head and everything. So I said, no, I go back to natural. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. But years ago, even in Egypt, there was straightening hair. So
Yeah,
you look at, well, okay, where did that style come from? They said Jesus, right? What kind of hair did Jesus have?
it was curly.
It
He
was
had some nappy
curly.
hair too.
It was tight curls.
Lamb's wool.
That's
Lamb's
right.
wool. If you looked at the lamb's wool, you know that ain't straight.
That's biblical. That's biblical. So it goes always go back to that racial thing. But thank God for you that people throughout this world are using you as who you are, and that God gave you that. You walk with confidence. You speak confident, and then that's your signature now. That if you change your hair, we would go into depression. So don't do it. We would be depressed. If Raven changed her hair, that'll be all over the world. Raven changed her hair for what? You can't. God gave you that. You can't change your hair now. I mean,
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah, I don't plan on changing
You
it.
please don't, because I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do. I have to have a special show. Raven changed her hair. So don't do that. So another thing is that going back to just one thing you would like to leave, because we're going to go into voting for a few seconds. What will you tell our people, my age as well, and your age about tell us what you want to leave with us today.
Yeah, I would just say that we have to question many of the behaviors and the traditions that we've passed down over time without thinking about it. So for instance, with this natural hair thing versus a permed hair, why did we start perming it in the first place? When you start to go back and you look at the origins of what that was, it was because we were told by people not of our own that we represented things that were not beautiful, things that were ugly, things that were unacceptable, and then we were made to indoctrinate that, if you will, to try to fit in with a broader society that doesn't always accept us anyway. Mm-hmm. And so when we start to question those things, and I love the young people that are coming up now who always have questions and are willing to buck the system and be courageous and ask the questions of why, I would encourage us to continue to ask ourselves why. And when we get to the root and the origin of those things and we realize that they don't align with our core values or who God has called us to be, then we have the right and the responsibility to make the changes that really help us to embrace us and all that we are. And that is a large part of why I decided to go back natural, is because I look at who God created me to be, and I love the beauty that it beholds. And this is indeed natural and normal for someone who looks like me. It has no bearings on my intelligence. It has no bearing on my abilities. It has no bearings on my ability to receive and accept love. And so I love who I am. I love who God created me to be. And I hope we all start to scrutinize the origin of things and not just go along just to get along.
Mm-hmm. We thank you. And with that, voting is November the 8th. I know you've been very active
yes.
now. Is that voting is November the 8th. Please say something about that.
Yeah. So again, when I go back to the importance of things for our community, voting is like prime ultimate, right? When we vote, we are exercising our right and our voice to say how we want our communities to be, how we want policies to advance our needs and our objectives, and how we continue to take care of those who are underserved and underrepresented. When we vote, we are speaking out for people who don't even have the right to vote just yet. So you think about people who are underage who wish they had the right to vote on things like climate change. We need to go out and speak up for them. Mm-hmm. You think about people whose rights have been taken away. There was some things that were going down in Florida where the governor, it looks like, had them go and be arrested, literally arrested for going to vote if they were former felons. it's things like that. When you see things enacted on people who would probably swing votes in a different way, that tells you the importance of voting. And so I hope every person listening to your show will not only vote, but would encourage other people to vote as well on the issues that matter to our community. Personally, I've tried to contribute to different candidates that I believe around the country who I believe have our best interests at heart. And I do that because not only are politics local, but eventually local politicians become state politicians become federal politicians, and federal politicians end up having a large influence around our country and arguably our world. So I am active in the political process and trying to get people to vote and be encouraged to vote. And so to all your people that are listening, either vote early or vote on Tuesday, but whatever you do, vote.
Raven Miller, we thank you for taking the time to be with us. We really thank you so much. Continue the work that you're doing, not just in this country, but throughout the world. That God chose you to do what you're doing, and we thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon, perhaps coming to Washington, D.C. one day.
I am, because we got to go have some brunch.
We got to have our brunch, right. So God continue to bless you, and we'll talk later. Thank you.
Not the average girl from your video.